Start again. Welcome, gallery councillors, staff, to June 2020 council meeting. I'll open the meeting with acknowledgement of country. Richmond Valley Council recognises the people of the Bundjalung Nations as custodians and traditional owners of this land, and we value and appreciate the continuing cultural connections to lands, their living culture and their unique role in the life of this region in the past, present and future. Mr General Manager, could you say the prayer, please?
Dear Lord, we meet to serve our community, to use our resources wisely and well, to represent all members of our community fairly, to make decisions that promote the common good. We recognise our responsibility to the past and the future, and the rights and needs of both individuals and community. As trusted servants, we seek blessings on our deliberations and on our efforts here today. May we act wisely and well. Amen.
Amen. Public access. I believe there's no public access or questions.
None received, no.
No apologies, everyone's present. Mayoral minute. I have a late mayoral minute, councillors, and I'll move the recommendation, which is council right to the State Member Chris Galapagos MP, Deputy Premier John Barilaro MP and Federal Member Kevin Hogan MP seeking support for funding programs to assist in the establishment of a new weekly print newspaper for our communities. Second to Councillor Morrissey. Councillor, everyone realises the impact that the loss of these papers will have on our community, and as the report says, I'm concerned for the elderly, especially those that are locked down in COVID-19. They're not having any outdoor activities like their social events, so they're missing their friends. A lot of these newspapers have gone online, and there's a fair section of our community who are not that way orientated. They don't have access or unable to access those media formats. So I just think that if there's talk in our community that there will be newspapers starting up, which is a pretty big job to do, replacing 120-year-old, sorry, 150-year-old newspapers not going to be easy with history like that. And I just think that if the governments could give some start-up seed funding, I think that would be a great thing for, and it's not only here, it's all over New South Wales and in Australia. So I would ask that you support this mayoral minute, please. Any speakers? Councillor Morrissey.
Through you, Mr Mayor, I wholeheartedly agree with your report here. You've written it quite well, and I support it.
Thank you. Any other speakers? All right, I'll put that motion in. All those in favour? Thank you. Page 6, item 6.1, confirmation of the minutes of the ordinary meeting held on the 19th of May 2020. Can I get a mover, please? Councillor Humphries. Okay, second to Councillor Morrissey. Councillor Humphries moved. I'll move that motion. Those in favour? Carried. Matters arising out of the minutes. Any councillor have any matters arising? No. Declarations of interest. Any declarations of interest from any councillors? No declarations of interest. Petitions. No notice of motions. On page 8, my mayoral attendances, I'll move that.
Second.
Any councillors on those attendance? Any questions from the councillors on those attendances?
Yes, Mr Mayor.
Councillor Morrison.
On the 10th of June, Minister Toole meeting via telephone. If I just have a bit of an explanation on what that may... yeah.
Minister Toole is, among other ministries, he is the Minister for Rural Roads, and we had a general manager and I, along with local member Chris Galaptis, had a phone hook-up with him, and we were pursuing, amongst other items, but the main one was some funding for the Corricida Woodburn Road. As we all know, it's failing, it's atrocious, and a lot of it's happened from the quarry trucks taking the product down to the bypass. And there was a $10 million election promise, and we're chasing up that $10 million for that road. So hopefully that will eventuate sooner than later, because the road is getting worse and becoming dangerous for our community. But General Manager, if you had any further update of anything?
I've had some follow-on discussions and had to provide some further information just as far as how that funding may come. So, and we've got a meeting tomorrow with Transport for New South Wales. So I suppose you'd say signs are positive that we may be in a position to get some work done on that road over the next 2 years.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. Mr General Manager.
Any other questions? I'll put that motion in. All those in favour? Carried. Delegates' reports. Matters determined without debate. Has any councillor got any items they'd like to call? I'll have item 14.1, 14.2, 14.3, 17.1, please. So I believe that should leave 15.1, 15.2, 15.3, 15.4, 17.2, 17.3, 17.4 and 17.5. Could I get a mover of those, please? Councillor Morrissey, seconder? Oh, Councillor Humphries. I'll put that motion. All those in favour? Carried. Councillor 14.1 on page 10. I'd like to alter that recommendation, please, and make number 1 read the following. Note that there will be no council... Oh, sorry. The council note there will be no increase in the mayoral and councillor fees for 2021. I believe that's addressed in the report, but not actually written in the recommendation. Then 2 and 3, 1 and 2 become 2 and 3. Please, I just think that needs to be put clear out there that there will be no increases, and which I agree with, and I think most councillors in the room do. I'll get a seconder, please. Any debate or any questions from councillors? I'll put that motion in. All those in favour? 14.2. Mr General Manager, I believe there was a change in this. No?
Well,
you were going to?
Yep. Yeah, Mr Mayor, just a suggested change to the recommendation, if I could. Obviously, when this we went through the consultation process on the NRLX fees, the intent was to lock in the fees for a 3-year period. So that is what we've aimed to achieve with what we're recommending to you this evening. So if I can just add to the recommendation for this item, we'll just pause for a moment. I'll let the technology catch up.
recommendations on page 14, councillors.
So just added to the recommendation thereafter 1 August 2020 and just add in and be in place until 30 June 2023. So it's proposed that this be for a 3-year period. The need for the commencement on 1 August is just to provide time for the administrative adjustments for this fee structure, should that be what you resolve this evening.
And be in place?
And be in place until 30 June 2023. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
I'll move that. Seconded, Councillor Simpson. Councillors, as you know, this has been out to the community and all the users out there, and we've had a good survey result. I believe that the majority of the recommendation addresses those, and I think this is a way forward to go to a percentage-based collection from the vendors. Last year, you will note that we did not put our fees up at all due to the drought. And in the hard times, we often ask for relief out there for our fees. And when the prices are down, this will automatically do it. So I think it's a very good move for the vendors. And in the future, if there's good times like now, we'll council, that's when we make up for our shortfalls there, same time as the vendors. So I'd recommend that we support this, and over the next 3 years, I look forward to things being locked in, and it'll still have to be addressed at every budget, but I think with the 3 years it gives some surety and security out there for all the users. Any other speakers? Councillor Humphries?
If I could just make a comment. I've found it very interesting reading about the online situation and how the support for the online the services and the streaming was overwhelming, with nearly a 74% take up on that. I think it's really important. It also mentions that, you know, the sale yard is, as a business, is striving to be recognised nationally, and I think with how important it is extremely important that it strives for the success of being the biggest in the region, and certainly recognised and being able to be online with anyone anywhere in Australia.
Any other speakers? I'll just close in saying that, just following up what Councillor Humphrey said, it's marvellous how technology is now taking off into this industry, and it's good to see that we've adapted and we're on the front foot and mostly leading the charge around this area. So congratulations to everyone involved, and I look forward to another successful coming years. Put that motion. All those in favour? Unanimous. 14.3 on page 22. I'll move that recommendation. Seconder. Councillor Cornish. Councillor, as you know, this document's been on public exhibition for 28 days. We've had 4 submissions. 3 of those were relating to the sale yards, and that's been addressed in the previous item. But the other one was in support of our budget, draft budgets, and other items. So it just, as Mayor, it's very pleasing to see that when we've got a $64 million budget ahead of us for the coming year, that the majority of our community is in favour and supporting it. There's been no submissions against, and it's good if you have a community on side to work with. It makes it so much easier for the staff and for the councillors. So I'd congratulate the community on having their input, but sometimes silence is support, and I'll take it that way. So, as I said, it's a $64 million budget, and there's some big tickets in it: the rail trail, industrial development, the swimming pool, rebuilding Rapville, which will be a big one, the waste, and along with all our core services like our sewerage works and water and roads and that. So I think it's a good budget, and I look forward to delivering it over the next 12 months. Any other councillors? Councillor Hayes?
Just got a question on page 22 there, number 2 in the recommendation. On our rate bases, the base amounts, they don't add up to 100%. Is that correct? Surely we yield 100%. Well, that doesn't add up to 100%. It doesn't make 90. It's the next column, isn't it?
That percentage that's shown, Councillor Hayes, is just the percentage that we yield from the base amount. So for the residential rate, for example, we only yield that $310 is only 28.67% of what we yield for that residential rate. Is the ad valorem. Correct, yeah. And we can take those percentages, that base from the yield, we can take that up to 50%.
Any other speakers? I'll put that motion then. All those in favour? Carried. I believe our next item is 17.1. Councillors, I have a small change to the recommendation. It's on the screen, I believe. That it just clarifies in part 2 that council will not be taking on the maintenance of the road. Before it said this would also include future maintenance of the item, but if you go on to page 51, the last sentence there says it also allows for council to have control over any construction activities with the road reserve, and this could be read the wrong way, that council will be doing those improvements. I just think that we need to make it quite clear, because as we know, and it's been raised in the council chamber before, on occasions where we have rejected Crown Roads maintenance, and I just think it needs to be spelled out here quite clearly that council will not be. We have enough work maintaining our regional roads and our rural roads, and I just think to add to that would be a burden. So we haven't done it in the past, and I think it needs to be quite clear in the recommendation. I'll move that.
Yeah, second.
Any speakers? Put that motion in. All those in favour? Carried. Item 18 on page 63, matters for information. Get a mover, please. Councillor Morrissey, seconder. Seconder, please. Councillor Humphries. Any questions on matters for information? I've got a question on page 83, please. Mr General Manager, you may be able to answer that, or relevant staff. On page 83, the third last item is for a DA, and the development is for a carport, swimming pool, carport with swimming pool and associated fencing, and the estimated cost is $5,250. I'm just wondering how $5,250 for those works have been calculated, and has it been picked up, or it's just doesn't seem enough.
It doesn't. I'll hand it over to Director Jones. Hopefully she knows something about that one.
Through you, Mr Mayor, I actually do know something about this one. Unfortunately, I think we've had a bit of an error with pulling in information out of our database, Technology One, and this amount was questioned by our development staff, and the revised cost was brought up to $10,000 based on receipts that the proponent provided. In addition, we took out the carport and other building structure component out of the approval, given those works had already started and were unlawful, so we had to take a different path in approving them. So that has been revised to $10,000 and it was for the pool component only.
So, dare I ask, what will happen to the illegal works?
Mr Mayor, we're going through a process, and I think we've already done it, of going through the building certificate path. So it's a different process from a DA and a construction certificate. So we approve or somewhat acknowledge structures that have been constructed prior to gaining approvals.
Okay. Thank you. Any other item?
Just a
General Manager?
question on that. In that situation, do we get any revenue from what would normally be part of a DA fee for unapproved works?
Through you, Mr Mayor, we do, it's a different fee structure for building certificates. We will get fees, but it's not under the same fee structure as a DACC.
Thank you. Any other questions on matters of information?
Mr Mayor, correspondence?
Councillor Morrissey? Oh, sorry, that's our next item, I think, is it? Yep, sorry.
I've got one. Do you had any more correspondence about the closing of the targets at all? Is there anything else happened since this went to press?
Sorry?
Have you had any more information on the closing of the Target store in town?
No, that's in correspondence in a minute, if you want to, but I haven't heard anything back yet.
It's actually in as 18.7.
Oh, 18.7, I'm sorry.
It's in as 18.7.
I'm sorry. No, I haven't. Councillor Hayes? Councillor Morrissey?
Yeah, through you, Mr Mayor. I mentioned this, seeing if we could do something about contacting Target, and I see you've written a letter and Target have written, and I'd just like to thank you for doing that on behalf of the community.
Thank you. I just think it's a, the letter needed to be written. I hope that they may reverse their decision. Our community, a lot of a section of our community relies on that big department store, so we'll wait and see. Put that motion, all those in favour? Carried. Page 92, questions on notice. There's nil. Questions for the next meeting in writing. Has any councillor got any questions? Nope. Matters referred to closed committee. Could I have a mover, please, to go into closed committee? Councillor Morrissey. Seconder. Councillor Lyons. Mr General Manager, has there been any written representation made regarding this meeting going into closed committee? If so, could you read the representation, please?
No representations received, Mr Mayor.
Are there any verbal representations from the gallery? No councillors wish to speak? Put that motion then. All those in favour? Carried. now in open council. Mr General Manager, can you read the resolution from closed committee, please? Closed council.
Yeah, so the item was 21.1, related to the Rapville Anglican Church land acquisition, and the resolution was that council authorise the General Manager to negotiate and complete the sale of the 2 properties in Rapville as described in this report, and authorise the General Manager to sign and endorse relevant documents, including affixing the seal of council where appropriate, generally in accordance with the details considered by council.
Thank you. That closes the meeting. Thank you everyone for watching, and everyone have a safe trip home. Thank you.